got time for a few questions, and I'm got the first one because I got the microphone. You know, with 1169 and 1177, they both look like good movements to address some of the problems we looked at on the curves. Has there been any discussion, mention, threats of moving those into regulations?
It's been talked about.
Yeah, if we can use the microphone, we'll catch it on the video better.
Okay.
Probably a little switch on the bottom, maybe.
It's been talked about in general terms, both in Canada and the US, but I'm not sure where the regulator is on it. By industry taking the approach they're taking to get full adoption, your larger pipeline owners will be fully compliant with it. But regulators in Canada especially want to look at your management systems. If you have a management system where you're saying, okay, we require our inspectors to be 1169, you'll be okay. If they come to you and you've said, well, you know, we're gonna have qualified people, but we're gonna be a little vague on what that qualification is, they would ask that you tighten that up. To give you an idea of the numbers, right now we have 567 inspectors that have completed the API 1169 successfully, and for the November setting, we've got 902 signed up already.
So a lot of people doing it. The public concern is always that we know that the vast majority of companies follow these recommended practices, but what about the ones that are trying to save money?
Well, just to add to that, the ones that are trying to save money, they're going to benefit from what we do. So we get that. We get that we're contributing to other people's success, but the attitude we've taken is it's better for the industry and it's what we want to do.
All right, questions?
One of my questions, you were talking about the failure rate and the curve, the bathtub curve. The thing that I see, I'm union president of the NIPSCO workers, we're up in Indiana, cover the top third of the Indiana. Our training, I've been there 38 years, and from when I first started there till now, our training is watered down quite a bit. Do you think that's part of the problem? You said, you know, some of it was the pumps put in and stuff like that. Do you think the training is not as strong as it was years ago?
I personally think, and you brought up QMS, I think the commissioning part is the one area that we sometimes don't pay the most attention to. We pay a lot of attention to the welding, the coating, a lot of that, and then as far as an inspector, we probably don't focus as much on the commissioning part as we should, which is obviously a lot of the stuff that's in and around the facilities. I don't know if you could talk to that. Is it addressed in 1177 commissioning?
Pipeline preservation is covered so that if at the end of construction you're not planning to put a line in service, there's some guidelines in the document, there's some considerations you need to make so that you don't create those conditions that create spills, basically.
Can I have a 1169 comment? Sure.
Okay, what we're finding with the contractors, we've got quite a few contractors are putting their foremen and straws through the API 1169 training just so that they get a better idea on what's required. And I think their ultimate goal is they want to become more responsible for the quality of the work they do and put more into their workforce.
Well, for us, we have the quality inspectors that the contractors come in and they want to grab as much work as they can.
Correct.
We got 1.1 billion for electric and 800 million for gas and TDIS money from the IURS. So you got all these contractors going, look at this huge pile, and I want to get as much as I can. But what we're seeing as the skeletal crew of the utility that's there is going to maintain all this once they walk away. They're putting in some pipe where we had it was 1 foot deep on one end and 18 foot deep on the other end. Well, what are we going to do when we got a gas leak and we got to go 18 feet? That's going to be a nightmare. Or they're not Ross coating. So they put a T on, they don't Ross coat in the steel pipe. Or they don't tap all the way through, and we got a customer complaining about their flow. A lot of good work is covered, but a lot of bad work is covered too. And that's where they'll say, well, we're going to be working here. Quality inspector goes over there, and they go over here and do this quick and bury it. And we see that.
Okay, and we're encouraging contractors to behave differently. Just because the regulations state now that we as the owner need to be the quality control people, that's got to change. This is the only industry where the contractor is not responsible for his own quality. And we as owners and an industry have to do more to encourage that.
As an inspector, one of the things we see a lot is it deals with span of control. Sometimes, and just like you said, you'll be watching something, and then you'll go over to another spread, and you'll come back, and they've snaked 2 miles into the ground. It can happen that fast. So I was wondering if 1169, 1177, do they address span of control?
Not as well as they should, but that's one of the takeaways I'll have for the next rewrite.
All right, one last question. Anybody? Everybody's thinking gumbo, all right.
Rich, you was talking about those numbers, that's who's went through the training and who's signed up for the training. Is that just US numbers?
No, that's US and Canada, and it's not just the training, it's the successful completion of the API 1169 certification examination.
How does that break out as far as percentage, do you know?
I don't have it broken out. If you talk to our Canadian ISPs, oh, it's all US people taking it. If you talk to our US ISP, it's all Canadians taking it. I get the sense that it's probably about 60% US, 40% Canadian, but we're getting, we've got 100 inspectors working right now, and we've got 35% of those people are qualified. Other ISPs that are waiting in line to get more work from us, they're in the same position where they have better than 30% of their workforce currently qualified. When people take the training to do the examination, the pass rate goes up to about 80–85%.
Who gives that training?
The various ISPs are giving training. You can go online. I'm not trying to advertise for anybody. Code West trains for PG&E. It's a myriad, and the type of training varies. Some of it's kind of that PMI type training where it's exam ready, get you through the exam, and some of it's more comprehensive. And I haven't seen all of it, so I really can't comment.